Say something, say something. I'm not giving up on you.
Oh, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Say something, say something. I'm not.
Where did I put those? Oh my god, there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully the internet holds up and your mom get
Right.
kicked off.
Nah. So she's in the phone jack.
Oh,
She's in the phone jack. I am hardwired, but obviously it's the same internet. Um, so if anything, you would just slow down. Possibly only when using Wi-Fi. There is a plug up there for you to hardwire.
I am not worried.
Oh,
What's that? Oh,
uh, right now I forgot to hop on our live. Our live. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is your captain speaking. We're about to descend into Chicago. We're about 150 miles out. Chicago. We're about 150 miles out.
is your mic turned the right way?
It is, but it's still sound. Yep, yeah, it is. It's still facing a little towards my camera, not more so like this direction. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22. Yep, we're good. We're good. Da, 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 da.
Try that.
All right.
Ready, Haas?
Indeed. Let's do this. Get you over here.
Welcome, sports fans. Thanks for tapping into some Untapped Keg Sports, the show where we go over some football, Wisconsin sports, and anything in between. One of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman, here with the touchdown king, Monte Ball.
Allegedly. No, I'm good. I mean, there's no better way to put it except I'm freaking thrilled that we're literally we've already started the season of college football. And I'm excited. I'm thrilled. This is the fun. Obviously, NFL's right around the corner, so why would I not be happy? How are you doing?
You know what? I'm pretty good. Lots of life changes. Lots of I mean, obviously you can see I'm not in my same setup. This is what you're getting for a week ish. While I'm getting moved. So lots of things changing, but we're gonna try to keep some shows going, recording, and
Right.
we are where we are. So, you know, it is exciting going into UW football season, especially after last year's debacle, and there's no other way to describe it. What happened? You go from such high and elation and honestly playoff hopes. You had playoff hopes to then play a stretch of football that is some of the worst Badger football that I can remember. It's exciting, and you get a tough test with Penn State right away. It's what you need as a big program. So, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah. I think you said it perfectly, and I'm glad we're kind of jumping right into it because let's strike while the iron's hot. Like, again, college football season's already started, so let's go ahead and go with it. Penn State versus Wisconsin. Obviously, Badger fan, of course. I'm looking for Badgers to start fast. The Badgers to start fast. We gotta play faster football. We really do. We gotta react faster, move faster, play more sound, and just become that feared team that we used to be about 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. We need to get back to that. Penn State, historically speaking, always does a really good job of recruiting a good front seven on defense. They do a great job of being stout in the front seven. And I mean, they're thick guys up there, beefy. They play sound football, meaning they cover their assignments. They do what they're supposed to do. They scrape over the top. If they're supposed to be there, they're there. And so for me, I always mention that because Wisconsin, speaking about last year and the year before, some young players, we get in those moments where we get a lot of penalties, where we start really shooting ourselves in the foot. And that's going to be the deciding factor, in my opinion, of this game. I think the team that has the least amount of penalties is going to win this game because on paper, both teams look about the same. It's going to come down to who plays the smartest. I mean, and again, that's not rocket scientist, but it's just, I think, a really strong emphasis on this game for that.
And it's interesting you talk about the Penn State front seven. I think that's somewhat overlooked when you talk about Penn State football team. Especially they always have a linebacker that is NFL quality and really, really good NFL quality. We're not just talking, somebody who's out there on defense actually playing. We're talking about stars. They always have a star on their defense. And I mean, that's why they've been linebacker U forever. For as long as I can remember, they've had them. So, and that's
true.
That's what you need. That's what you need if you're going to play in this Big Ten. And the Badgers, as you stated, are young. I think they had a lot of learning last year, but how much did they take away from that? And how much did they chalk it up to? It was the last season. It was COVID. To go from that Illinois game of last year to then the bottom. I mean, even that Minnesota game where they won and we couldn't believe that they won because they did not play well. To go from that high that you were experiencing to the lowest of the lows, and it happened after a COVID outbreak. I hope that there was a lot of learning and a lot of self-reflection in that building.
Exactly. That's actually a really good point because, again, when we talk about this young team, we have to talk about the pandemic because that brought upon more problems or a different season. I want to say some of these young players who may have came in as a freshman last year didn't have the opportunity of playing in front of full capacity stadiums, if some stadiums even had fans in them at the time. More times than not, I think a majority of the time, there were no fans in the stadiums. So some of these young guys didn't get the full shebang, in a sense. They didn't get the full experience of playing Saturday night football in a big time on primetime television, etc. I mean, that brings more anxieties, more stressors, all of the above. I mean, we could go and talk about, we'll get into that game a little later here, but let's stay on the Penn State Wisconsin game. What I'm looking forward to, man, is again, these young guys who didn't have that opportunity to play in front of fans are going to play in front of the fans this year, and hopefully that does not rattle them. That being our Wisconsin Cats cannot get rattled. They're young, but we are bringing back Danny Davis, Kendrick Pryor, who they both were injured last year. I would say they're both some big time leaders on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, we just need some people to step up. We need a leader on the defensive side because we lost some guys over there. We did. I'm really looking for Scott Nelson. I liked that kid. I liked him last year. Safety.
You're looking for him this year?
I'm looking for
Because didn't he?
No, I think he's still there. Or did he leave?
No, you're right. He's still there. It was It was somebody else. who was a safety transferred, and I can't remember. Why can I not remember his name?
Yeah, I'm looking for Nelson. I'm looking for Nelson,
Nelson to
he
have another big season.
he played well.
What are you expecting out of Chez Mellusi? I mean, there's a lot of big unknowns with this team. It's a lot of young players, and now you have another running back transferred. Don't know a lot about him. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You got Gary Brown, who is now the new running backs coach for the Badgers. Came from Dallas Cowboys. Coach Darren McFadden, again Ezekiel Elliott. I'm losing one. McFadden, Ezekiel Elliott, and DeMarco Murray.
Yeah,
coached those three. Now, here's the thing, were they just raw talent? Were those guys just going to be good at any team they landed on in the league because of this just raw God-given talent? Who knows? Or was it obviously Gary Brown's coaching that, made them the dominant running backs during their times in the NFL? We don't know that. But I guess in the same breath, I will say that running backs coach coming into a true running back system, which Cowboys is too, but coming into a true running back system in NCAA, I will say that Mellusi is in good hands. Meaning Gary Brown decided to obviously choose Mellusi over top of Jalen Berger. I'm going to trust him on that decision. And so for Mellusi, I'm expecting for him to have some great runs. Outside zone, I think, would be huge, because to set up the play action for Mertz and Danny Davis and Pryor, obviously the tight ends as well, Ferguson. So I'm really, really looking forward to some heavy outside zone. Make this bad boy look just like the Cowboys offense. And I think that we can really have some success. That run game coordination has to be on point.
And that's something that they were missing from the offense last year, was the running back who could take over games. I mean, right. You had Garrett Groshek, but then Jalen Berger had flashes, but he didn't play a lot last year.
Exactly.
When we thought he was taking over a game, all of a sudden they'd sit him down. Mm-hmm. It was very frustrating to watch. It's going to be interesting to see how much Jalen has improved as a backup, but also what you get out of Chez. I mean, this offense can support two running backs that are playing a lot, obviously. I mean, that's how it's been for a long time. It's definitely going to be interesting. And I agree with you. Gary Brown is exciting. He's an exciting coach. What we've seen from him has been nothing but good things, right? And I'm not just talking about you get to see the good sides of people and what they present, but it's what he's coaching and how he's coaching it. It seems to be back to building yourself up, ready for that, and not resting on your laurels with your talent. So
I'll agree with that. And I think, again, I appreciate you sharing that. And I love when you mentioned this is a young team. Some of these guys we really haven't seen play really at all. I mean, maybe a couple snaps last year, but you really can't get enough judgment of their play off of those plays. If they're going to be consistent or not, or if they're going to be able to replicate those same plays from last year. So for me, I guess we can obviously talk about the things that we do know, which is obviously we got Jimmy Leonard, defensive coordinator, on the other side of the ball. Obviously, defense wins championships. That is a huge plus. And I think that he's obviously going to do a phenomenal job, because, again, the more and more we talk about Jimmy Leonard, the more and more people who tap into our show and listen to us talk about the Badgers, you will continuously hear us harping on how well Jimmy Leonard does after halftime. That defense, those defense adjustments during halftime are huge. And we really want for people to take note of that this year. So we got that. Biggest question is, where does Coach Chryst fall in all of this? He's the head coach, of course. Last year, I think the last 2 years, he was sort of wearing the OC hat at the same time as the head coach hat. At the time, 2 years ago, it was Coach Rudy, we call him, who was my tight ends coach from 09 to 12 before he took off to Pitt. But he was the OC, but has now been crowned the run game coordinator with Coach Chryst as the head coach. Who's the offensive coordinator, the actual title?
I thought it was still Rudolph. So
Right, because I checked just recently, and maybe I overlooked it, but I guess essentially that's not really the biggest thing. I guess what I'm really getting at here is we know that I guess Coach Chris is going to be still having his fingers
it's still
in the
listed
offensive play calls.
as Rudolph is the
Is it still listed as okay? Does it say run game coordinator
just offensive
as well? I saw it say
right now, but it might also say run game.
So I guess what we're doing, I guess what it is Coach Chris, Coach Rudolph, and Gary Brown, who is the running backs coach, all three are essentially heavily focused on being the run game coordination team, meaning running inside, running outside, setting up the play action. How are we going to set the play action up and make sure it's a hit? I like that team. So obviously we can say that that's what we do know. You got Bob Bostad coaching the linebackers. He's a very aggressive coach. He was coaching the offensive line my years running the football. Very, very aggressive guy. That's what the defense needs.
Absolutely.
Biggest question mark is just Mertz. Mertz has got to take that next step. If Mertz takes the next step, we crack top 10. If Mertz takes that next step, we crack top 10 for sure.
What do you see that next step is? I mean, we've talked about this before, but I still do you feel a little differently what that next step could be, or do you feel the same?
Honestly, I think we're going to get into this when we talk about the Minnesota-Ohio State game, but watching how Ohio State or how Minnesota played Ohio State is giving me a little bit more hopes for the Badgers when it comes to, okay, Ohio State, they can bleed. And they showed that. Granted, it's first game of the season, but they were bleeding badly during that game, which is obviously good for us if we meet them in the Big Ten championship game. Biggest step for me, in my opinion, for Mertz would be just be confident, more confidence. I need to see more confidence. I need to see more of his demand more from your players. And how do you see that? I'm not really sure how you see that, but I want to see him take that next step of being a vocal leader, be that person. Obviously, make the plays. All leaders need to make the plays, but I want to see that. I want to see him carry himself with more confidence, almost like an arrogant swag, not like cocky or being an a-hole, but like a Trevor Lawrence cockiness in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to see that. I need to see that. I do. What do you think?
I need to see some better pre-snap reads. I need to see some anticipation and a lot less reacting. Like, there is room to react and make second chance plays happen, right? You look at your two reads, you break the pocket, and then all of a sudden it's a free play. Figure out what you can do. But when he was throwing it to his first read and they were open last year, he was waiting for them to get open. He was not anticipating them getting open, and that led to a lot of the struggles in the passing game. So that's what I need to see, is some more anticipation and some more trust of the scheme. I'd love to see some more creativity from the play calling. We talked about that last week. And the route tree and how you utilize the route trees on plays, getting your spacing. And then also, that'll help your run game a lot. And just seeing the one back take this job over, that would be huge.
It would be.
The last transfer that I can remember that was starting running back was Brian Calhoun, and that worked out for the Badgers in a big way that year. So we'll see. I got high hopes from Lucy. Obviously, he did fine at Clemson in some big games. He has that experience. So
he's got the speed.
Hopefully he can carry that over.
Right. He's got the speed. He's most definitely got the speed.
What do you predict the final score to be?
Real quick before we get to that final score, I want to ask you a question about when you mentioned about Mertz being late on those throws and stuff. Would you say that Pryor and Davis's injuries, them being out, had a lot to do with that quarterback receiver timing?
That's something Possibly. It did seem like he took a big step backwards when
It did.
they got hurt, and you could see it in the offense too. Receivers weren't necessarily getting very good separation,
Right.
but there were times where it was wide open, and because he was late on the pass, it gave the DBs closing time,
Right.
and that's why there was incompletions. So did it have? Yes, it had an effect on it. It had definitely had an effect, but I think that you can anticipate and help your receivers out, and I don't think that happened last year. So maybe the receivers were helping him out in the first couple games, and that kind of hid how he was a little late making his decisions, which is okay.
Right.
He's a young quarterback. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to make mistakes, but if you want to see a team taking a step, you got to step up.
You have to.
And let's not send hate to Graham Mertz on his Instagram account like we saw last year. Wisconsin fans, that's terrible. That's terrible. And
that's
goes for any player.
It's ridiculous.
If you have something negative to say about a player, don't tag them in whatever it is. Don't comment under a picture. Don't do anything. And just vent about it online, but don't tag a player. Don't go into the comments. Don't respond to them while you're venting, because you look like a clown. You look like a clown and a toddler, and that's coming from somebody who did that a few times.
You do, and then again, I'm paying attention. I'm just checking something right here that we're about to talk about here on my phone. But that's a great point, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Let's all remember here that these are kids.
Yes.
These are kids who are in school, who just trying to make ends meet while studying, while taking tests, and obviously enjoying the sport that they love. Let's always remember that. But again, I understand it. Being a fan, you want your team to win, and there's nothing wrong with expecting for your team to win. But once you take that next step of reaching out and bashing them, like, you've had plenty of time to kind of take a couple breathers before sending that off.
And you have better things to do with your life.
Good point. But okay, so to answer your question, predicting the score. So the spread, let me mention the spread here real quick. So the spread, they got Wisconsin only winning by around 5.5 points.
They have Wisconsin favored though.
Five and a half points. Which we all understand 5.5 points is obviously that's just one score. One score will obviously beat that. So my thing is, I think they're kind of correct. When we talk about Penn State, Wisconsin, if you look on paper, they're almost identical. They really are, because Penn State has some really good receivers as well too. So I will say this will be a pretty close, tight game. My prediction will be, my prediction, I think it's going to be about 24 Wisconsin. 14 Penn State. I think that the spread is going to be a little wider, but I think it's the 5.5 is still a good spread, but I think it's just going to be a tad bit wider because I think our defense is gonna stop them more times than they have planned, of course. So 14-20, let's say 14-24. Yeah. 14-24 Badgers. What you got?
Well, as you know, I'm a big Wisconsin sports fan.
Yeah.
So I plan for the worst and hope for the best. So I'm going with the upset, and it's an upset in name only because Penn State's the 8th ranked team in the nation. So, it's going to be a close game. It's a very tough matchup. We talked about that earlier. I'm actually going to go Penn State 30, Wisconsin 24. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope that,
Wait, can you say that again?
Penn State 30, Wisconsin 24.
Penn State 30, Wisconsin 24. Okay.
I'm going to hope that they win. I'm going to cheer for the Badgers and hope that I'm wrong. I want to eat my words, but I'm just preparing for it. Oh, Penn State's actually 19. Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was like,
I thought Penn State was a top 10 team. Why did I think that?
I was literally just checking right now. I was like, no, yeah. But here's the thing. You're still not wrong though. Obviously, you encourage but that's still no one still knows. I mean, preseason rankings don't mean crap.
That's right.
But you're still not wrong about the upset. So all the top what have yous out there, better people, all that jazz, said this is the one game that if you are that person who likes to obviously bet on upset games, this is the upsetter. They said this is the one.
Interesting. I get
it.
I mean, I get it.
People got Penn State winning this one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they come out. One thing Coach Chris is amazing at is getting teams ready on a long layoff. When he has time to prepare, they play very, very well. I mean, you just have to look at the LSU game a couple years ago.
True.
So I hope I eat these words, but
okay. I got a question for you. Okay, what's the one thing that makes you? What's the one thing about this Badger team? And then we'll transition. No. Yeah, no, I gotta ask you now. What's that one thing that makes you a little nervous?
It makes me a lot nervous, actually. That's offensive inconsistency. It's not last year. Their defense held up last year. Their defense was very, very good. They did not lose games because of their defense. Their offense needs to take a huge step, not just a big step, a huge step forward, and be very consistent. And
that's the word.
That worries me. That worries me beyond belief. It's the opposite when I talk the Packers, right? When I talk that, it's the defensive consistency because the offense is always there. But can the defense help that offense out? And they did last year. So that's the same question I have this year. And as long as Jimmy Leonard is the defensive coordinator, I am not going to question the Wisconsin Badgers defense.
Exactly. And that's a really good take, actually. And I'll agree with you on that one because, when we talk about Badger football, I mean, if you've listened to any of our episodes from the start to today, that is essentially what we've been talking about is Jimmy Leonard's defense has been consistent. You can rely on those halftime adjustments to be awesome on the defensive side of the ball, but offense, we lack consistency. And I think that's what I've been talking about all the time when I say we're not feared. I think during my years, even Jonathan Taylor's years, obviously more recent, they still didn't win, unfortunately, but they were still putting, some yards up on the board. I'll say that.
Yeah, one play, any time from any spot in the field, they could score.
Exactly.
And obviously see that.
Right, and obviously Melvin's years, James's years. So as you guys will know, I when I think about Wisconsin football, if I think about a certain time period, I have to think about the running back. So I'm just going to go and say that James's years, Melvin's years.
Football. When you talk about a period of football, it's who was the starting running back?
Who was the running back? Ron Dane and Mike even John Clay.
Anthony Davis.
You have AD for sure. Yeah, you got these, obviously Calhoun, you got these teams, these offenses that were consistent. And even though they probably still didn't win a lot, consistent as in, darn well, again, just like RJ stated, you're literally one play away from a 90-yard run. It's like, I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah, you're one play.
I don't feel that anymore.
From the entire air of momentum being taken, and your hopes being taken away. It didn't have to be a touchdown. It could be like, okay, this is going to seem like I'm just blowing smoke up you, but I remember the Purdue game. You guys were struggling, and it was at Purdue, and you had a run from the end zone where you were stopped for a safety. You broke like 3 tackles.
Oh, yeah.
For a first down. And after that, it was just domination. Like that one play took all their hopes and just crushed them. And then from that point forward, Wisconsin football dominated. Right. And that's what we're looking for that hasn't been there for a few years.
Yeah.
And it does start up front at the offensive line. It's been really inconsistent too. So hopefully they can step up and continue on that tradition that's there. So
I like that though. I like that because you're right. It's when the running backs would put it on your shoulders. Like, I will make those plays to rally this team. That is Wisconsin football. So yeah, we need those. We need a running back to step up and really carry that torch. So yeah, I'll agree. To end this segment, absolutely. Consistency. We need that offense to be more consistent. Mm-hmm. And we're not necessarily just saying home run plays, because obviously you don't have a home run play every series. That's not realistic, but at least the capability. Have that, just at least make sure the defense stays honest. Like, okay, we still have to honor this running back because he can take it 99 in the blink of an eye. That changes up their whole scheme. So we need that consistency. We need a player to step up.
What running back are you describing there? Because you're obviously not describing yourself.
Most definitely not describing my longest run. I think my longest one was in that. I think it was in that game.
Championship game, wasn't it?
No, it was in that Purdue game.
Was it
in
really?
that same one, a 67, 67, I think.
I thought it was the Nebraska Big Ten Championship where you stiff arm that guy and to the ground and scored that touchdown. I could be.
I think that was only like 50 something. I'm pretty sure it might have been. I think it's Purdue 67.
I think you're right.
But yeah, I was never taking 80, 90. Absolutely not. But yeah, I think Malusi has
the breaths. That's for sure.
Easily. I think Malusi has the capabilities of doing that. Obviously, JT did before, but yeah, that opens up the playbook. So let's go. I got 24-14. I got the call for the Badgers. You got, what was your score again?
30-24, Penn State. I'm just until I see it, I'm not believing. And
right.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, it's just it's this feeling in my gut that I always have going into every year with no matter what sports team it is. I'm ready for the bottom to drop out, and that's just Wisconsin sports. And you would hope that the Bucks winning it all might take that away, but I'm a realist.
I got you.
That's what I'm going to say.
Final question, then we're for sure about to move on. But this is a quick one. All right, for the Badgers season this year, because you just mentioned, and just gave me an idea. You just mentioned, their bottom. What is their actual bottom? You think this year? Like, what would be the bottom? Obviously, let's not say 0-10,
no,
or whatever it is. That's
that's never,
obviously
that's never in play for a Badger team.
Exactly. So for the Badgers football program for 2021 season. And again, what's the bottom? So let's go ahead and mention the first 4 games right now, which is Penn State, Eastern Michigan, Notre Dame at Soldier Field, and then Michigan. So that's the toughest part of the schedule right there. And then after that, the toughest game will be Minnesota. Possibly Iowa for homecoming, but who knows? What do you think their bottom is?
Missing a bowl.
Yeah,
I think 5 wins and missing a bowl. Right. That's
right. Yeah.
It's sad to say, and it's sad to think about, because when's the last time that happened? Like before Brett Bielema. I mean,
for sure,
maybe Brett Bielema, but I don't remember the last time they missed out on a bowl.
I mean, all you need is 6, right?
Yeah.
That I would say that's a bottom. I would say that's a bottom for sure. That would be extremely disappointing. Extremely, because again, let's just be honest here. We should beat Purdue. We should beat Iowa. We should beat Iowa here at home game for homecoming. We should beat who else is on our schedule? I think we got Indiana. We should beat Indiana, of course. Well, that's 3 right there.
But
Come on.
Indiana was really good last year. Do they come back down to earth?
That's true. It's true. They were throwing that thing last year. They were throwing the heck at that ball.
I mean, until their quarterback tore his ACL, like they were looking like the second best team in the Big Ten.
They were.
And their defense gave up a lot, but they were like a bend don't break kind of a defense. They gave Ohio State all they could handle. Like,
excuse me, had to sneeze there real quick. Let me check real quick. Let me pull up the schedule real quick, just to get the last part of that.
That's a very, very interesting question, because
we got Army. Yeah. We got Army, Rutgers, Northwestern, Nebraska. I mean, yeah, I cannot disagree with you on that. That's the bottom for sure if we don't make a bowl. All right. For sure. Well, real quick, I kind of want to talk about the Minnesota-Ohio State game.
Yes, that's what I wanted to move to next, was the beginning of college football, which was the Big Ten opener as well. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Minnesota obviously defended their home field against the Buckeyes. So Buckeyes had to travel to Minnesota, obviously, to play. And this is the beauty about college sports. You know there's young cats on the team, and you don't know how they're going to play, how they're going to perform. Ohio State's new quarterback, C.J. Stroud, obviously is filling big shoes with Fields being gone. And then obviously prior to Fields was J.T. Barrett. I mean, Ohio State has been fortunate of having some really great dual threat quarterbacks. So no one really knew how Stroud was going to play.
Right.
Minnesota side of the ball, obviously everyone knows Muhammad Ibrahim, knowing that he's a really good knowing that he's really good at running the football. This team does a really good job of running pro style offense. That's just what they're doing right now, and it's working very well for them. So those were the keys going into the game. Now, first half, Stroud did not do well. Did not do well at all the first half.
And pressure? You think it was anxiety? First game jitters?
I do, because at the time I didn't think that, but he came out in the second half and he was completely different, night and day.
Yeah,
night and day, completely different. Which is why they
sophomore. Is that what you said? Sophomore, or is he a freshman?
He might be a freshman. Either way, this is his first year of playing. Again, college, we don't know, red shirt, all that jazz. But he struggled in the first half. Second half, he really did a great job of turning it around. But again, just a quick takeaways from the game. We know Ohio State. We know how they play. We know they plug and play. That's just what they do. Their system churns out athletes. Their just biggest question mark was how Stroud was going to play, which he did well in the second half, which is why they went on to win 40-something, whatever it was. But also, Ibrahim getting injured, the running back for the Gophers, was obviously helped out the Buckeyes as well. Minnesota looks like a really good football team. Yes, fast.
I mean, here's the thing. They were last year.
Exactly. They were playing fast. And when I say fast, I'm not just saying, oh, wow, he's, this straight line player or whatever. He's running super fast from, to the 15-yard mark. That's not just all of it. Obviously, that's a big part. Fast. When I say fast, it's like these guys are firing on all cylinders. Like they're play calling. They're setting up their play action there. And obviously that does help when you have a dominant running back. But the way that they were just firing on all cylinders, from the play call to the quarterback play, running back play, offensive line, and receivers, was like, okay, this looks like a different team than historically speaking about the Gophers since like Lawrence Maroney. Was that his name, Maroney?
Yeah.
When he was the running back. Right. I mean, this team looks fast, man. They did not look like a Big Ten football team. I'll be the first. I'll even say that.
That's big praise. I mean, that's what PJ Fleck. Right. PJ Fleck is a good coach. He was a really good coach at Western Michigan. Came over. He has his acronyms. He has his row the boat. Like, is it annoying? Yes, it is. It is very. But I can see why you'd want to play for him, and I could see his scheme, like his players. The past few years, Minnesota football's played really well.
Yeah.
So you could see him stacking those successes. Rondale Moore, someone who came from Minnesota, who could have some success, increase recruiting, right?
Right.
And he's very quick and very fast. Not something that you kind of expect from a Minnesota team.
That's what I'm saying.
So if they replaced him, like you're saying, like I did not get a chance to watch it because obviously I have a lot going on right now. But I saw some of the highlights, and Ibrahim looked, monster. 30 carries in the third quarter. Like, bro was gonna get 50 carries, and who knows what the outcome could have been. So
if Ibrahim for sure. If Ibrahim stays healthy, I think Ohio State still wins, but they only win by one score because it was just a shootout. It was coming down to who would just have the ball last, and Just knowing Ohio State.
30. It was 30 for 168 or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. If he stays healthy, it's same outcome, meaning there's going to be an L in their column, but the game would have been a lot closer. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They had no answer for him. They had zero answer. Ohio State's D line right now is the biggest question mark for Ohio State. Stroud,
that is crazy only put for an Ohio State team.
Right. He only put one half together. So half of a question mark, if that makes any sense. But the biggest question mark, complete question mark right now, post game, a day after, is Ohio State's D line. And so right now I'm currently thinking, okay, if I'm a running back right now in the Big Ten, we know Ohio State's going to be on the east side. They're going to be in the Big Ten championship game. We know it's going to be Ohio State. So if I'm on the west side right now, and it was obviously Ibrahim before he got injured, that being Minnesota Gophers on the west side with us Badgers. If I'm on the west side as a running back, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing that Ohio State's struggling right now with their D line. I'm licking my chops. I'm licking my chops this season. Licking my chops.
Let's go.
And granted, who knows if Ohio State will be on the other side, but I'm going to assume that they're going to be on the other side, waiting to see who's going to lead the way on the west side to meet them in Indy. So if I'm running back right now and I'm going to go up against Ohio State, I'm licking my chops. 100%.
So it was a fun start to the Big Ten season. It's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend of college football. There's some good games. What do you think the NFL has in store for us next week? We're a week away from NFL football.
Yeah.
We're looking at Green Bay. Obviously, they look, we don't know how they look because they rested their top 30 players the entire preseason. The only person who's going to get significant playing time who played on the offensive side of the ball is A.J. Dillon. And then you had, who did you have after that? I mean, on defense, see what we have at corner between Stokes and King. That'll be an interesting battle all year. I'm excited for this team. Their cuts weren't too surprising. I was a little surprised that they kept Sternberger. Thought they'd move off of him at tight end. I was a little surprised.
Yeah, you guys still got Tanyan, right?
Tanyan is going to be the starter, yeah.
Right.
Sternberger's it's more of one of those receiver athletic tight ends. And then Tanyan is more of your prototypical can block. Not as good as Mercedes Lewis, which is why you have Mercedes Lewis, but you have Degora. It'd be interesting if he stays healthy. It'll be really interesting to see what he does. So with Sternberger, when he comes off his suspension, maybe he's gone, maybe not. We'll see. But, moving on from their punter, that was really the only surprise that I saw because they drafted him a couple years ago.
The kid out of
Alabama.
Yeah, and he went to Mullen High School in Colorado.
J.K. Scott. So
my son's mother went there.
Super inconsistent, especially for as big of a leg as he has. Just couldn't. Every time he booted it deep, keep the hang time on. And he was out kicking his coverage. So Packers make a trade, get Rams punter, and he looked good in the preseason. We'll see how he looks come the first game of the season if he gets a chance.
You guys got the Saints, right?
So Saints first week in Jacksonville.
That's right. They did move it. That's right.
Did you hear what the Saints front office did when they were trying to figure out where to move the game? The Saints front office Googled airline tickets from Green Bay to 3 different stadiums, and whichever stadium had the most expensive tickets is what they went with. Because they think that Green Bay fans won't travel to Jacksonville if the tickets are too expensive. Little do they know, Wisconsin has a retirement population in Florida that is very, very sizable. And you just made a lot of their summers because you got a Green Bay Packer game there. So you're still going to see a large contingent. But, our hearts are out to everybody in Louisiana.
course.
Mississippi,
Of course.
anywhere who's been in the path of Ida, the Northeast. We were looking at Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. Stay
New York's
safe.
yeah.
Stay safe, everybody. Do your best to keep your family safe, and then we'll collect. Pick up the pieces afterwards. Objects can be replaced, people cannot. So, good luck out there, and our hearts are with you. So we have this Packers movement. You have to talk about the Packers now. You have to be a fan.
Oh, right.
What do you think of what we got so far? I think that LaFleur is going to get really creative this year. I'm excited to see. I think Aaron Rodgers is in a really good place. I think the entire team is in a really good place. Bakhtiari's on the pup for 6 weeks. Good. Right? Get healthy.
He'll be fine. Yeah.
So
he'll be fine. It's almost
to be healthy. Like, I want good football. I want everybody to be healthy. I want everybody to be safe, be happy, except for Bears fans.
Exactly. I think when it comes to the Packers, it's, in my opinion, it's the same team. Same team as they were last year. It's just, when I talk about the Packers this year, it's more so I'm thinking about the other teams in that division. Because when we talk about the Packers, again, this team does a great job of getting to the door and knocking on it, but not walking through.
Yep.
That meaning they get to the NFC Championship and they don't.
Do you mean the other teams in the division or the other teams in the conference?
In the division.
Minnesota,
obviously not the Lions. I was supposed to say not the Lions. I'm worried. I'm worried about you guys. I'm worried about you guys with the Bears. I really am. I'm really worried about you guys with the Bears.
Andy Dalton is starting at quarterback and Matt Nagy's
not for long,
coach, right?
Yeah, not for long. So Dalton has one mistake. Yeah, I'll give him a couple mistakes. By week 6, by week 5, I guarantee it. Fields will be starting.
Bears fans are hoping you're right. Bears fans are definitely.
I guarantee it.
I can't believe after the way Fields played in the preseason that they went with Dalton.
Exactly.
But it is what it is, And
that's what I'm saying.
Nagy's making poor choices, especially after seeing Belichick moving on from Cam Newton and starting Mac Jones. And they had similar preseasons. I can't believe he didn't go with Fields, but that's why Matt Nagy's the coach of the Bears and he's not the coach of the Patriots.
Right. That's the thing. And that's the thing. I'm a little worried about you guys against the Packers or the Bears, just mainly because obviously it's Fields. Fields, again, it's still preseason. You can't say this player is going to be great just because of what he did in preseason. Preseason is different. Defenses don't show all that they have. But obviously just knowing how Fields played in college and then still seeing how he played in preseason, I think that's going to present you guys with some problems, mainly because Fields is that true dual quarterback. True dual. You guys haven't really faced that in your guys' division in Stafford,
Cunningham,
X amount of years. Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't even count as a true dual. So I think that with Fields is going to present some problems. I think for the Pack, although you guys have a really good defense, I still think I think Fields is going to be a really good player. If I had to say, is he going to be good or bad? I'm going with this. This kid's going to be good.
Does Justin Fields remind you of Deshaun Watson, and not necessarily play, but how when Deshaun Watson left college, he was highly decorated, a really good quarterback, but people kind of were down on him a little bit. He got drafted by Houston. He fell a little bit in the draft. Looked really good in the preseason, then goes on to be Deshaun Watson.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel about Justin Fields. They, somewhat was he lucky in these games? Every big game, Justin Fields balled out. Every big game. He's always there.
He's good.
He's a good player. Goes to the preseason, balls out a little bit. They didn't start Watson right away. They went back. They went to him after a few. That's how I feel that Justin Fields is very comparable.
Oh, so his trajectory, because I was thinking immediately, obviously, once you said does he remind you of?
I think Watson's a little, always been a little more, a little bit more accurate and maybe a little bit less athletic, which is saying a lot because Deshaun Watson's obviously athletic.
Right.
But yeah,
I think Fields it's hard to disagree with you on that. It really, really is. But hopefully the Bears don't do what Houston did with Watson and just try to flush down literally flushing years of their play down the season, or excuse me, down the drain.
It's the Bears. That's what they're gonna do.
But when I think of Fields, when I think of his athleticism, who I would compare him to, for some reason he reminds me of Russell Wilson. He really does. For some reason. For some reason he does. Even sometimes the way he runs reminds me of Russ. And I'm assuming he's a little taller than Russ.
He's a lot taller than Russ.
Yeah, how tall is Fields?
6'4".
He's that tall?
Yeah,
I don't think he was up there.
He's like a prototypical build.
Nice. So I think that's a problem, man. And again, when I think on the Packers, again, this is a
6'3".
Really, this is a 6'3". Wow. The Packers is a really good football team, and obviously the whole Aaron Rodgers crap that was going on. Rodgers is back. This team is, and this is most likely Aaron Rodgers last year. This team's going to be on fire. But we cannot forget about the Bears. Obviously, the Lions are going to be the Lions. With golf up there, I don't think that's going to be much of a difference. Kirk Cousins and them at the Vikings, they'll find a way to screw up their season. I still just don't think they have all the pieces yet. The Bears, I think, did a really good job. The Bears did a really good job.
Somebody asked us where we saw the NFC North shaking out. I said, I think it's going to be a really boring year. It's going to be pretty standard. Packers, Vikings, Bears, Lions. They said they were a big Lions fan. And obviously, Lion at heart, big friend of ours.
Right.
Is there too. But I think that there is a chance that the Lions could win 7 or 8 games. And the way that happens is if the Vikings fold like they did last year, but even more. They lose a lot of games. Mike Zimmer's on the hot seat. They win 4 games. I think the Lions take that, and all of a sudden they're third, Vikings fourth, Bears step up to second, and I could see that happening. I could see the Lions defense being good enough. I could see the Lions offense playing a lot better than people realize, and you sneak out a few more games than you should. Because when you get to 1-score games, when you get to like 3 points or less games, that's when luck is involved. With you get the ball at the end of the game and you have a chance.
Right.
And that was the Packers 2 years ago. Last year it wasn't. But the Packers 2 years ago did have that luck on their side. Last year they took care of business. The one place the Packers can improve, and I think that this is very underlooked, is big plays. And with MVS. And MVS being a little more consistent, Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Mm-hmm.
He can be a little more consistent with his catches. That offense could be even scarier this year.
Well, yeah, I think
you take that deep threat, and MVS is catching some of those balls he dropped last year that were guaranteed touchdowns.
Well, that's
you got the top off the defense, baby.
Oh yeah, I mean, essentially what the Packers need, I think, to make that jump, to walk through that door, to get into the Super Bowl is, they need a second receiver to be more consistent. They need to take a little bit more pressure off of Adams. The second receiver's got to step up and just be consistent.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And their defense,
I think that's going to happen.
Too. Their defense has a lot of room to improve, so that could also be a possibility. So here's my question, talking Packers. To me, it's not so much the division. You like Chicago.
And I want to say why, though, real quick, before you get into it. So I'm looking at the Vikings schedule, and they got a pretty tough schedule. Now they got, and this just give me this real quick. So they got the Bengals week 1. They should beat the Bengals, but then they got turned right around.
The Bengals they could be okay. I was still saying bad teams last year where I'm like, they could be 500 this year.
I still think the Vikings still should get them. They still should get them. The Vikings should. Then they turn around and have to play the Cardinals. They're losing that game. Then they got to turn around after that game and play the Seahawks. They're losing that game. Then they got to play the Browns. If the Browns wake up on the right side of the bed, they're losing that game. Then they got the Lions. That's a toss-up. We don't know. Then they got the Panthers. They should beat the Panthers. Cowboys. Where are they playing? They're playing in Minnesota. They should beat the Cowboys.
I agree with that, though. They should beat the Cowboys.
They should.
They should.
They should. But then they got the Ravens. Then they got the Chargers. Then they got the Packers. Then they got the 49ers. Then they got the Lions again, toss up. Then they got the Steelers.
Also, I could just see it. Like, I could see that this year, it's not it. And you start to not be able to, like, sometimes when the coach talks, when you have the same personnel and the same head coach for such a long time, sometimes things start going in one ear and out the other. You know, Bill Belichick is the exception, not the rule. Mike Tomlin is the exception, not the rule. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
Right.
I could see it happening. I could see this being the year that the Vikings stumble badly.
Dude. They got listen to this stretch. Ravens, Chargers, Packers, 49ers, then they got the Lions, but then they come back and play the Steelers, Bears, Rams. Rams defense is going to give them some work.
The thing is, the Rams offense is going to be better because you got Matt Stafford.
True. That defense too. That defense.
So when you talk to Packers, in my opinion, you're talking how are they going to stack up in the NFC? The NFC is
as a whole
stacked.
As a whole is
there are
pretty nice.
About 4 really, really good teams in the NFC, not including the Packers. So where do you think the Packers stack up as far compared to those teams? Like if you had to rank the top 5 teams in the NFC, where are you putting the Packers? And give me your position. I'll start.
Second, behind the 49ers.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I have 49ers number 1 this year.
Yeah.
Especially if they go to Trey Lance like in week 5.
That's easy. That's easy.
Yeah, I think the 49ers are top.
They have every single position has a good player in it for the 49ers. And if they stay healthy.
The only thing that I would
49ers,
about
Packers.
is their defensive backfield. And even then, their front 7 is so good that it may not matter.
That's what I'm saying. They coverage sacks.
Yeah.
The coverage sacks or what they're going to be getting.
Sack interceptions is what it's going to be. It's going to be pressure.
Right.
It's going to be pressure coverage. Right. What it is.
So that's what it is. That's easy.
That's what it was in the playoffs last year for Tampa Bay. That's why Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. It was not their secondary. It was their pressure that they were putting.
Shaq and JPP.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I got 49ers and Packers and then Seahawks.
You have Tampa Bay 4. Now it gets interesting. It gets interesting quick when you.
I don't know why. I don't even know why that is. I'll admit it. I completely brain fart right there. Right. You forgot Buccaneers. That was a brain fart. But I still keep the top 2 the same. Yeah, that was my error right there. Number 3 would be Bucks. Yeah,
so I'd go 49ers,
and then 4.
Buccaneers, Packers.
Ooh, you got Packs at 3rd.
And then I would go with
I still got them a 2nd.
Washington, and then Seattle. That's my top 5 in the NFC. And with the Packer, any of those top 5 could take over the top slot with a couple players stepping up. Washington's defense is going to be, dude. You want to talk about pressure?
They're okay, but they still haven't put it together yet.
They're the team that played the Buccaneers the best. If they didn't have a 5th string quarterback, they beat the Buccaneers last year.
They're so quiet over there.
They are. That Washington football team has a lot of studs, and especially on that defensive side of the ball. Like, don't be surprised. For real.
I still would go I respect your order. Me, yeah. 49ers, Packers. Even though obviously we know the Bucks won, I still think the Packers are a better team. I really do. 49ers, Packers, Bucks, Seahawks, Washington team. Yeah, that's how I have my top 5 of the NFC. Yeah. Seahawks, dude, I still think
there's like 7 or 8 teams that are like, they're scary in the NFC. I mean, we didn't talk about the Cardinals. The Cardinals are very good.
Cardinals, of course. Cardinals, of course. I mean, the addition of JJ Watt, who knows?
You can never count out the Saints either. Even though the Saints lost a lot and you're not sure about their offense, like Sean Payton is a creative genius. He's the original. And then you got the Rams. Like,
see, my thing is,
bro,
the NFC is looking really good, but here's the thing with the Saints. I think Jameis is a good quarterback. I do, but and if you do even look at his stats, I mean, this guy's got some pretty good stats for his age. Obviously not the interception column, but some pretty good stats.
Was a legend. You want to talk about the interception column,
right? I just think that Jameis, I can't see him doing it for 17 weeks. That's just the thing. I don't see consistency with him. I don't. Not yet, at least. And I say yet because, you know, growth is still something we're all chasing. So I just don't see consistent 17-week play for him. And granted, you don't see that with most players.
Yeah. But
you do see that with Aaron Rodgers. You do see that with the Bradys. And I'm not saying he has to go out there and try to play like Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see Jameis leading a team in a tough conference to the championship, and that being the AFC championship. I don't see it. Mm-mm.
The thing he has going for him though is that division ain't.
That's true. That's true.
There, I mean,
that is true.
So you have a chance, but yeah, I like Jameis. I'm excited to see what he'll do, especially with Sean Payton. But we gotta watch out for Arians is slouch, right? So
that's very true. I think teams need to really, in the AFC side of the football,
I was just gonna go there.
They watch out for those Titans.
Talking about the NFC. Let's switch over to the AFC. Obviously, got your Broncos hat on.
Right.
The AFC champion Denver Broncos. Who do they have to watch out for? And was there any surprising cuts there? We could start there.
Surprising cuts, I think, would be what was his name? Running back. He wore what was his name? Thank you. That was surprising. That was surprising because he averaged 4 yards a carry. That's really good.
Chance, he showed he had something. Like
all you expect for your running back to get. You only need for your running back to get 3 yards a carry. That's it. If you average 3 yards a carry in the NFL, that's considered good. You are a consistent running back getting 3 yards every single carry. He was averaging 4 and they got rid of him. That surprised me because I think he's a very good, solid, consistent running back when it comes to getting 3 yards and then him getting in there for pass pro. Obviously, they see a lot in Williams and felt that probably Williams can obviously do both, be that relief for Melvin, but then also be that third down back. So again, it's chess, not checkers. I understand it, but that was just a big surprise to me because I think they're going to.
Teams hopes you're right about Williams.
Right. I just think that I think we're going to need him. I think we're going to need a third back. We are. And I know you got that third and fourth back for practice squad, but he's been in the system long enough to understand what the Broncos are looking for. So that was surprising to me. Broncos, I think, as a whole, have to obviously got to watch out for the Chiefs. Same division. Got to watch out for the Chiefs. But obviously, outside of that division, obviously the AFC as a whole, you got the Ravens. The Steelers, of course, too, but I'm still not all the way sold on the Steelers just because Roethlisberger's on his last leg. Although they're hyping him up, saying, he's lost this weight, looking the best he's ever looked. They pretty much say that every season.
Look, that's what I was going to say. This is the spring training. Like, big power bat shows up, leaned out, like never played better defense. He can hit a curveball this year. He hits two balls in the first week, and everybody's like, he's changed. And then he can't hit a curveball the rest of the year. Like,
right. So I think the AFC is a little tougher just because you got these teams. It's a little tougher to say who do I think is going to make it, because you got the Browns, you got the Steelers, you got the Titans, you got obviously the Chiefs. You got these teams that can put 50 in the blink of an eye. Not so much the Steelers, but those other teams, yeah. And so I think the AFC is a little bit more balanced in fairness as opposed to the NFC. So that's a little bit tough. What do you think?
What would be your top 5 in the AFC, with the Broncos being number 1, obviously?
Yeah, well, even though I am a big fan, obviously, the Broncos, I still like to give good takes. I can't put my Broncos at 1. Obviously, you got to put the Chiefs at number 1 in the AFC, just because of their whole team's back, and Tyreek and Mahomes are looking like they're meshing even better than they had before. Chiefs number 1, Titans number 2. Even though the Browns played well yet last year, that may be an anomaly. I can't put them at 3rd. I'll go Steelers 3rd, Broncos 4th, Chargers 5th.
That's all I want. Top 5. You don't have to go any further.
Just that right there.
The Chargers stay healthy 1 year, and you never know what's going to happen. When's the last time they stayed healthy? 5 years ago.
That's been a long time. So yeah, my top 5. I can't put the Browns in there, even though they're still a good team. But Baker's got to do it again. Do it one more time for me, Baker, and you guys are legit. Oh boy, what do you got?
Well, mine's going to be a little different than yours again, and we'll see what you think. So Chiefs 1. Till you beat them, they're going to be 1.
Right.
I'm going Browns 2.
Okay. Here's the thing. I mean, I don't like it, but I respect it.
What they added in free agency is kind of what they were missing. You know, you get Odell Beckham back. Right. Could be that big play guy, and Baker settles down a little bit and understands the offense a little bit more. Donovan Peoples-Jones could be a big factor. Like, I'm interested again in that Cleveland team. And then, you know, I think that the Ravens are not healthy, and I'm worried about them not having a pass catcher again this year, even if it is Mark Andrews. I'm worried about that team with J.K. Dobbins going down, and then the big
Dobbins
Rashad
did go
Bateman.
down. Dobbins did.
You had Rashad Bateman. He's the one from Minnesota that we meant. That's who I meant. Or Rondale Moore was from Purdue. My bad.
I got you.
Correcting ourselves mid podcast. So
people understand. We our knowledge only goes so far. We're gonna get some names mixed up
when there's a lot of names rolling in your head, right? Yeah. So Rashad Bateman is hurt. You got Marquise Brown hurt, who has not been consistent. I'm worried about this Ravens team. I'm not putting them in my top 5.
Even as not the reigning MVP, but recent reigning MVP.
I'm not. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I'm going with San Diego.
Wait, start over. What's Pittsburgh is number 3 for you? Number 3? Okay. San Diego,
if they stay healthy.
LA.
And oh, sorry. You're right. LA Chargers. Look at this. This is ridiculous. They change everything.
I'm just messing with you.
Remember all this stuff, right? And then, and it's funny because you have the Chargers and the Chiefs in the same division. And then you have the Raiders, who are possibly be better this year, under that the system. If that system gets a little bit better on offense, you never know what could happen with that Raiders team. But then you got the Broncos. The Broncos, they have the defense that could flip your record, which is what you have a lot. It's not necessarily your offense that flips your record. It's that defense that flips your record.
Right.
But that division is going to be solid. But for AFC teams,
good division.
Here's a team that we did not talk about that actually should be number 2. And they're going to be my number 2. I'm knocking everybody down a spot.
Houston?
How did I forget about Buffalo?
I was going to say
Houston is going to compete for the worst team in the NFL.
How did I forget about Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm like, how did I forget about Buffalo? So I
got to redo mine.
Kansas City, Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, LA Chargers. And I do like Miami a lot too.
And I said, who did I say? I said, obviously Chiefs, Titans.
And I didn't put the Titans in my top 5.
I forgot my top 5 already. Let me redo my top 5 now. Yeah, because I don't know how I missed Josh Allen and them up there.
And it's silly I did not put the Titans in my top 5, but I'm not going to add them. I'm sticking with it.
You know what? I'm just going to keep it. But yeah, obviously Josh Allen is, I actually, and I told you this, I think maybe offline, that I actually have him as winning MVP this year. Yeah.
That's a solid pick.
Right.
He was amazing last year.
Right. So. Right. I have him as MVP this year.
Good for Buffalo Bills fans.
Right.
So to close this show out, anything else you want to talk about? You want to talk about ESPN getting fooled? Or you just want to laugh about it on air?
I'll just be really quick on that one.
Schefter tweeting about the Packers and all this stuff. He still hasn't tweeted Aaron Rodgers is starting quarterback of the Packers. I don't know if it's true yet or not. I mean, I'm
Dude, we can be really quick on this so we don't get too long here, but with everything that's going on right now in America, with obviously the floodings from the hurricane to the fires in Cali, the pandemic, to these, just polarized political views that are creating so much animosity on social media, etc. All this, we're upside down in a sense in America. In the same breath, we have this fake high school program come out of nowhere, get prime time television slot on ESPN to play like IMG, which is a well-known, program, IMG Academy. They do actually a lot of stuff, training, all sports, all the above. I mean, this is one of the top of the top. How, with the head coach having an active warrant out for his arrest, a lot of the players on this team, this is Bishop Sycamore, obviously we're talking about here, were well over the age of high school. A lot of the players didn't have their names listed on the roster. How, RJ? It took me less than 2 seconds to check if they were a real team or not. Took me 2 seconds on Google.
I don't know.
Took me 2 seconds on Google. How does that go through so many different hands? And
goes through a lot.
The editor checking it out before they publish it or whatever. Give it to the person who's gonna, like, hey, what are the advertisements we got for this game? There's Sprint. Oh, there's McDonald's. All these people had to see this name, Bishop Sycamore. And now one person was like, wait, who the hell is Bishop Sycamore?
Where?
So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, man. I mean, I did all that backstory, obviously, to share what we're going through right now, which there's no secret. We all know what we're going through right now as a country, but just that on top was just like this really might be a twilight zone we're living in right now. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, we need that Matrix to snap back here anytime now. Deja vu.
How, RJ?
I don't know. You didn't care. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So,
what does that happen on ESPN?
Right.
Not PBS or something, which PBS is great, of course, for public education. I love it.
Research.
But that's so true. That was actually a bad take right there, because PBS, they are investigative reporters on that. That's like all they do for education. So, but anyways, I don't understand how that happened. Thank goodness they were caught and that's all taken care of. But that is some funny stuff. I was dying laughing. Good for him. Is he considered a GOAT? That picture I got of him, I got to show this picture real quick, and I'll let you. I know you got to get going.
So to wrap it up, we're Untapped Keg Sports, talk Wisconsin sports in general.
He's the GOAT.
Wow.
Oh
good on
my
you.
gosh.
Good on you. So we talk Wisconsin sports and everything in between.
Indeed we do.
Check out our mental health and recovery podcast. on Sunday mornings, recording at 9 a.m. on YouTube and all podcast services. You can find us at Untapped Keg on all social media. Where can they find you, Monts?
You guys can find me on Twitter at MonteBall28. You guys can find me on Instagram at MonteBall. Obviously, our Untapped Cake page as well. Send us topics, questions, all of the above. We'll most definitely read it and try to accommodate your requests to the best of that we can. Where can they find you, RJ?
You can find me at It's Trickster, ITZ. The I is a 1 in Trickster. And you know what? Let's have a fun weekend because there's a lot of good sporting events coming out. And catch Monte Ball on ESPN Madison 100.5 for some Badger pregame and postgame. And you know what? I'm excited. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that this is happening. And you just go out there and kill it like you have been. So
appreciate it, man. Wish you were staying.
People's feet to the fire. And
yes,
we'll catch you guys on Sunday morning.